All right, what up, Who That Nation? This is No Cap, No Filter Saints. I'm your host, Marley G. Back again with y'all with Brian from Saints Twitter. Man, we going live this time, man. We ain't doing no pre-record. We going live this time. So if y'all got some questions, y'all just go ahead on and put it down in the chat whenever y'all come through. But Brian, let's go ahead on and get into the elephant in the room, man. The Saints, man, we just signed Chase Young, man. What's your thoughts and what you think about the contract so far? It was some new latest news just dropped about the contract. Actually, I don't know if you heard, but I don't think it's actually 13 million like they were saying it was guaranteed. What's your thoughts on the whole signing?
Well, first of all, man, let me say it like this. I understand the gamble. I may not condone it, but I understand the gamble. It's an idea of you get somebody that's young, so you can kind of, build on your pass rush. You put him on a 1-year prove-it deal. If he come out and he ball out, you re-sign him. You got a young dude that can take over for Cam Jordan next year. If he don't, you really didn't spend a lot of money to get him, and you send him on his way. So I understand the gamble. The problem is you basically gambled on Marcus Davenport Jr. So that's more my problem with it. It's not them spending the money. It's who they spent the money on per se. And you already had one just like that. His name is Peyton Turner. So it's almost like I'm questioning the move just a little bit. It's hard to question Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator. That dude can do his job. Dennis Allen, the head coach, I ain't too sure of. And that's mainly what my issue is. So I mean, I understand the contract is more like a 1 year, $5 million deal. To an extent, it's up to 13 million, depending on if he plays or not. The problem is, even if he suits up, if he's active on game day, he getting a check. He can suit up and not even play, and he's still getting his. So I think that's a little bit of the problem. If 9 times out of 10, if he's suiting up, he's gonna be out there. But it don't mean that he can't pull a Derek Carr and be like, well, I'm hurt right now, so I can't play. Oh, I can play next week. And do that consistently because that's what we've seen him do. Now, it doesn't really help him do that because he needs to get his next contract. But I don't put it past nobody in this day and age, man, to basically milking an injury.
Mm. I had just watched Pat McAfee not too long ago, and Pat McJones, he was on there. He was saying how he suffered a neck injury, and he just don't believe that, Chase will be back for September. He said he was more towards October, November, maybe. Like, if that was to happen, what do you think would be happening in the Saints fan base and just the organization just taking this gamble? And he's probably not, ready to come back on the field as we thought for week 1.
I think it's a little bit of egg on your face or whatever like that because everybody understood who he was coming in, and again you just went through that with Davenport, you went through it with Peyton Turner, when you're going through it with Peyton Turner, so it's almost like, did you not learn your lesson the first 3 times you tried that? On the flip side of that, it's an idea of, well, who's to say he couldn't suit up week 1, get hurt, and have to miss the next 5 weeks anyway? So for me, the gamble of a neck injury would have turned me off, which is why he didn't have a big market to begin with. So, I mean, it's kind of a telling situation. And the Saints medical staff, not really a group of people I would want to gamble on getting somebody healthy.
Yeah, man. If he were to stay healthy, what do you predict that he could do? Like, do you see like 7.5, 8 sacks, 9 sacks, or double digit? What do you think he could do as far as the other competition on this team, as far as the D line goes? Because he'll probably be our best pass rusher. Maybe him and Carl Granderson.
I mean, I would say it this way. I think if he's fully healthy and he's ready to go, bare minimum, he's gonna bring you 8 sacks. I believe he can do that. He's that talented. On a contract year like he's playing for, he has the talent to give you double-digit sacks. So he can give you one of those Trey Hendrickson type of years because that's what he's going for. I believe he has the talent to do that. Now, what I think he's going to end up with is somewhere around like 7.5 sacks if he's healthy enough to play, because he's going to be in a good rotation. He's going to be around some good pieces. I think if he can play, he'll be admirable. Now, do I think he's going to be superstar talent? No. But I think he'll be good enough to earn another contract with the Saints or another team. The question is, what happens if he does go out there and he plays well? Do the Saints have the ability to re-sign him, or does he tell them, I appreciate y'all for giving me this, this opportunity, but I'm going to sign with a major player now?
And that'll be crazy if he end up with like 7.5 sacks, because for all that, we could have brought back Ellis. I forgot what contract that the Falcons gave him, but man, like you say, shoot, Marcus Davenport, he had just got them to almost. Well, I ain't much gonna say almost the same contract, because, like I say, I don't think it was. I don't think it's actually 13 million guaranteed. I think it's off of incentives and bonuses and how many games played, like $400-something thousand a game or something like that. So I think it's a team friendly deal and a player friendly deal, if I'm being honest. But if he do ball out, maybe he might play himself out of New Orleans for that next big contract like Trey Henderson did. I don't know.
I think that's exactly what could happen. So, and for me, I'm a person that believes in chaos. I want him to go out there and get 13, 14 sacks, and then see the Saints try to re-sign him, only for him to walk away. I mean, that's the type of person I am. I mean, I love the chaos involved in it. So, I mean, when I do I want to see the Saints do well as a component, as a team? Absolutely. Do I want to see Dennis Allen and Derek Carr do well? Hell no.
That's why I'm at. Like, I'm just so conflicted. And when it comes to Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, it's like you could have the production, but are you getting the wins? Because Derek Carr, we like, okay, we got a new offensive coordinator. We got Clint Kubiak. Alvin Kamara should be fine. Chris Olave, he gonna be fine. But when he was with the Raiders, they had Adams. He went crazy with Derek Carr. Still was losing. They had Josh Jacobs. He went crazy. I think he led the leagues in rushing. Still was losing. And just because we got Chase Young, if he was to get 7, 8 sacks, will it add into wins? Like, when are you getting these sacks? Are you getting these sacks in clutch time, or are you getting these sacks in the beginning of the game?
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really care when he get them as long as he get them. I mean, don't get me wrong. It looks better when you get a sack, strip, fumble, towards the end of the game or whatever like that, and it kind of helps you clinch one. So I'm not opposed to him, whenever he get it. I just want him to go out there and do what he's supposed to do to your numbers. That being said, anything that benefits Derek Carr and Dennis Allen, I'm kind of cringe with, because I don't feel like they're the right component to lead this team moving forward. I've seen too much division under that regime for me to really sit back and kind of see them succeed. Although it's kind of like I said last time I was on the show, I think they can actually be a better team overall and still not have a better record.
Yeah, man, I got something to ask you, B. You be seeing my tweets and my feelings about Dennis Allen. Like, you could be honest. Do you feel like my hatred of Dennis Allen supersedes my fandom of the team?
Not at all. I mean, it's kind of like say for instance, if back in the day when people were Kobe fans and Kobe would play the Pelicans, it's almost like I want to see Kobe score 50, but I still want him to lose. That's kind of how I feel like you are right now. You want to see the Saints do well, but you really want Dennis Allen to lose and Derek Carr to lose. So it's kind of like you said, it's a catch-22. If the Saints do well, it means Dennis Allen is probably getting another contract. To be honest, even if they're mediocre, he's probably getting another contract. So I think the only way for the Saints to succeed long term is to say Dennis Allen has to go, Derek Carr has to go. So I understand the position that you're in. It's the rock and the hall place.
Yeah, man. I think the worst thing that could happen is we do end up being mediocre, like 8, 9 wins. Dennis Allen is back, and in my head, I feel like if Dennis Allen get fired, that's what's best for the team. Like, yeah, we might have to go ahead on and struggle for 1 year, but I'd rather struggle for 1 year and get a new head coach and have some optimism up in here, than do mediocre, re-sign Dennis Allen, and then we just stuck with him for another 3, 4 years. Like, to me, in my head, I'm right. I'm not wrong. I'm doing what's best for the. I'm wanting what's best for the team. That's how I think in my head.
Until proven differently, Dennis Allen is a subpar head coach. He's a below 500 head coach. He had one subpar, he had one mediocre season, and he had one winning season. So it's like you kind of stuck in between. And it's almost like it's crazy to say it this way, because sometimes really good head coaches get fired after a winning season. That kind of reminds me of Dennis Allen. It's like you can do better than Dennis Allen. Like I saw, I'm old enough to remember when Marty Schottenheimer got fired after going 14-2 with the Chargers. So it's because they didn't believe he was going to be able to take them over the hump. And that happens a lot.
Same thing with
Andy
Reid.
I don't have a problem with and Andy Reid in Philadelphia. What I'm saying? It's like, he was there for the longest time, but at some point, Tony Dungy in Tampa Bay. At some point, you realize, you may be able to bring us to the threshold, but we can't cross that door with you. I believe that's Dennis Allen. I believe Dennis Allen, if he plays it smartly and lets Clint Kubiak kind of control the offense, and he worries about the defense, I think they could win 9 games. But is that the goal? Is 9 games a goal, or is the Super Bowl a goal? And I don't know if Dennis Allen is a Super Bowl winning head coach.
When it comes to the defense, we always wanted speed. Like, now that we got Chase Young, you got Carl Granderson, you got Willie Gay, we just added him. We got Brian Brzee. He gonna be in his second year. We got who else? Who else I can think that just brings speed? We got certain guys that can bring some speed. Alante Taylor. How do you feel about the defense when it comes to the speed of the defense? Now that we got Chase Young and Willie Gay, and certain guys gonna be in their second, third year.
I don't think the defense is the problem at all. Again, for as much as I may hate Dennis Allen, the head coach, the moves he's made defensively have seemed to work out. I didn't think it would work when he got rid of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It worked out just fine. I didn't think it would work when Marshawn was down. It seems to me like Dennis Allen is looking at it and saying, well, I just played 10 games without Marshawn Lattimore, or 7 games without Marshawn Lattimore, and we didn't really miss a beat. What's the difference between if I got a problem with it, why keep him? So it's hard to argue if they trade Marshawn, although I think they're a better team with him. It's hard to argue against the results because so far he's been proven right in every move he's made defensively. So it's kind of hard to argue that. So the team speed is not a problem with me. The age of the team, that's a problem. But the team speed is not an issue for me. They're not having problems getting, outran on the field. They're having problems because they're old, and they're problems because they have no pass rush.
What about the run stopping ability?
That's the biggest hole on the defense, and I think that'll get addressed. Now, I know, Malcolm Roach leaving, and they haven't had a good defensive tackle since Malcolm Brown that can really plug the middle. I think that's a bit of a problem, but I don't think Malcolm Roach is as big of a loss in the idea of you can't find another Malcolm Roach. You can find another Malcolm Roach. You can find another Zach Bond. So the guys that they've lost so far defensively, it's not like you can sit back and say, you know what? Damn, how the Saints going to replace that type of production? No, you can find another undrafted free agent Malcolm Roach. You can get a 7th-round, 6th-round draft pick Malcolm Roach. You can find that. You can find another Zach Bond that can just do one job and that's strictly rush the passer. You might even have one on the roster already. So you can find that. But you have to solve the problem of not having one at all. Maybe even two. Brzee is not a run stopper. Even if they want to slide Cam or Tano Passanio in the middle, they're not run stoppers. Bink, not a run stopper. Nathan Shepard, not a run stopper. These are guys that get a feel. They're not guys that can plug the hole and stop the run. So I believe it's going to take a little bit of an effort, but they can find another guy to do that. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem for them moving forward, but they have to address it. Malcolm Roach going down last year put him in a bad spot.
Yeah, when it comes to the run stopping ability on this team, like I remember when we did have, like you mentioned, Malcolm Brown, man, we were stopping rushers from getting over 100 yards for like a whole year. You know what I'm saying?
It was longer than that.
Yeah, like maybe a year or two. So I feel like when Malcolm Brown left, that's when the defense really took a step back. And, I think Quan Alexander, he brought a little swag to the team. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, he brought a little swag to the team that, you need certain players that going to just, get other players hype, But am I tripping when I think that Dennis Allen may be a little overrated as a defensive coordinator? Maybe he just got a lot of talent on that defense and got lucky with that 2017 draft? Or, it don't matter who out there, Dennis Allen going to make it work. We going to be top 10, top 12, no matter what. But he good on the back end. I would give him that with the secondary.
I actually think I'm gonna give him his just due. I actually think he's a really good defensive coordinator, and I say that because when the Saints had Rob Ryan, they weren't the same defense until Dennis Allen walked back through the door. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Greg Williams. Greg Williams may be an awful head coach, but for something about him, he understands defense. I think Dennis Allen truly understands defensive schemes. He's one of the best that there is in the game when it comes to how he coaches. Now, does it help when you have talent? Absolutely. But it's almost like, Doug Collins or whatever like that in the NBA. Doug Collins had Michael Jordan, too. He wasn't winning no championships. It wasn't until Phil Jackson and Tex Winter took over that they were able to do that. So I'm going to give Dennis Allen his due. Again, Dennis Allen, a head coach, well, you won't ever hear me say anything nice about it. Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, I'm not going to take away what he is. He knows defense.
With the second year of Carl Granderson starting and coming to his own, Brian Brzee, he's going to be coming to his own. Willie Gay, he's going to be adding speed. Chase Young, he's going to be adding speed. Did we finally stop the mobile quarterback?
I think it's going to help, but I think the key to it is kind of what we talked about a minute ago. If you can get one of those big body defensive tackles to kind of get in the middle and plug that hole, it's almost like when Ray Allen used to play. Haloti Ngata made it real easy for Ray Allen to wreak havoc all over the field. If you can put a Haloti Ngata or a big body in the middle, and you allow a guy like DeMario Davis to be able to use his speed to get around, Willie Gay to use his speed, I think that's when you can get at those mobile quarterbacks. Because the first thing you got to do for a mobile quarterback is you can't give him an outlet. So if you got your guys on the outside, keep it contained, and you got your guys in the middle pushing that pocket and collapsing them in, now it doesn't matter where you try to run at because you can't go outside. You got your ends protecting there. You can't go in the middle of the pocket. So now you got to try to find a hole in between the two. That's where your DeMarios and your Willie Gays fill those gaps, and now you contain the mobile quarterback.
All right, so when it comes to us signing Chase Young, I've seen a lot of theories. A lot of guys saying, okay, man, double down, get Dallas Turner, get another end, rehab it. Some guys saying, okay, now we could trade down. We could trade down in the draft now. We got the means to do it now. And some guys saying, oh, well, we definitely got to go tackle now. Like, what do you think should be the game plan?
It wouldn't hurt to double down, but I think the problem is, I think last year the Saints had 5 defensive ends that they kept on the roster. So this year, I can't see them keeping 6, and that's where they're at right now. There's only 2 options at this point. You either going to get rid of Tano Passanio, who's a guy that can play inside and outside, or you're going to get rid of Peyton Turner, who's basically showing you nothing since he's been in here. But he's also a former first-round pick, so it's really hard to justify cutting the first-round pick. A third option is you get rid of Isaiah Foskey. So are you really ready to give up on Foskey just yet? I mean, if you had to take a toss-up between the 3 of them, I'd rather say you keep Tano Passanio, keep Isaiah Foskey, and you get rid of Peyton Turner because the dude just never stays healthy. And why have Chase Young, who doesn't stay healthy on the roster, and a guy like Peyton Turner who doesn't stay healthy? If you're going to do that, then you might need an extra defensive end. I wouldn't mind seeing that at 14. What I think is going to happen is I think they're going to want to pick an offensive tackle. So that's what I think they're going to do.
What about defensive tackle at 14?
I think that might be too high for one. I don't really know if there's a defensive tackle in the draft that's worthy of going in the top 15. That's just me. Maybe the scouts will feel differently. I don't think it's that. I think if there's ever a draft the Saints should trade back, it's this one. Because if you want an offensive tackle, you can trade back. Hell, if you want a defensive tackle, you can trade back. And if you want a wide receiver, you can trade back. Like whatever the Saints need, there's no need for them to trade up. You definitely have the means to trade back and still get whatever you want because they're not trading up for a quarterback. So anything else that you trade for, and to me, I feel like the Saints still have a lot of holes to fill. To trade back and pick up an extra second-round pick, maybe even a first-round pick next year, I'm all for it. Especially if you can trade back, get a first or a second, in next year's draft. And you trade Marshawn Lattimore and get a second in next year's draft. I mean, you stacking up.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. That'll be a whole lot of assets right there. And then we could just play around with all those draft picks for the next head coach if Dennis Allen fails. And he'll have a lot to work with.
Yeah, I think you want to build up the draft capital as well as if the Saints are getting older and the salary cap ain't helping them out much. So even if you get rid of a bunch of people next year, you'll have the draft capital to back it up.
Right. This might be a little bit hindsight right here. I don't like to do hindsight takes, but I was thinking about it and I was like, man, you know what? I hate Dennis Allen. But one thing I do give Dennis Allen, he could recruit. Like a lot of the guys that we wanted on our team for like the past, 3 years in these offseason, Dennis Allen went got them. He went got LSU guys. He went got big name players in the draft. He been got, Chase Young. Everybody wanted Chase Young. Yeah, it's a little bit of 50-50 on the Chase Young signing now, but at the end of the day, we got him. But now I'm thinking, were a lot of these guys just the girl that was just pretty enough to take to the prom, and we were just like the only option that she could just go into the prom? Because if you think about it, you got Tyrann Mathieu. I'm not sure if his market was that big, and plus we already seen what's happening to the safety position. But we wanted Tyrann Mathieu. We needed a safety, and it was just he was hometown kid, LSU hero, brought the vibes. Same thing with Jarvis Landry. Hometown kid, LSU, brought the vibes. We wanted these guys. But after that one season with Jarvis Landry, nobody picked him up yet. So it's like, Chase Young. We got him, but we come to find out a lot of other teams, they passed on him because I don't think they cleared him medically with too high of a risk with the neck injury. Derek Carr, I think his agent did exactly what he was supposed to do. Got the Saints to get real thirsty, making things seem like it ain't what it is. And, we got real thirsty and we paid Derek Carr. that contract that we paid him. But Eric Carr market probably wouldn't what it probably was what he thought it was going to be or what we think it was going to be. So is this a hindsight take where like maybe Dennis Allen ain't that much of a good recruiter? Maybe it's just, these guys were just taking the best deal that they could?
I think it might be somewhere in the middle. I think it might be a little bit of both of them. I think you might have, Dennis Allen, basically being able to go after a dude and seal a deal. I mean, to be honest, they almost had, I think they dodged the bullet, but they almost had Deshaun Watson. If Cleveland doesn't come in and give him the most ridiculous contract in NFL history, then the Saints would likely have Deshaun Watson as their QB1 right now. So I don't think it's necessarily that he's not a good recruiter, and I also don't think it's not a situation to where the dudes that are taking these deals had many other options. I think, we'll find out what happens when Dennis Allen really wants a true player. And right now they can't do it because of the salary cap. Will he get the opportunity? I don't know. But I mean, for me, it kind of speaks volumes because even though in the past he's not getting, Sean Payton not getting Tyrann Mathieu here. He's not getting Jarvis Landry here. So even if Dennis Allen may be a piss poor recruiter, he's still lucky enough to get who he wants. And that wasn't happening under Sean.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think Sean just have a certain model that he stick by, and he just stick by his guns. As good as Sean was, he had a lot of things about him that I hated, but at the end of the day, that motherfucker could win. So it's like it was like, damn, I hate that motherfucker that he got these ways that he got, but we could win. But yeah, man, like I personally think Deshaun would have chose Atlanta over us, though. Like if it came down to it, like if the Browns would never came in between the Saints and the Falcons, I think Deshaun would have chose Atlanta. And shoot, we could talk about Jamal Williams too. Like, maybe his market wasn't all that good because the contract the Lions tried to give him was, he said, slap in the face. So I don't know. Maybe, like I say, maybe it's a hindsight take. But or maybe it's just the production these guys have given. So I don't know.
I mean, it's not like he went out and got, somebody that was younger than their prime either. So I think that has a little bit to do with it as well. But I mean, it speaks volumes when you can say, I want someone and they sign with the team. Because let's think about it this way. For as many fans wanted Honey Badger to come home or Juice to come home or any of these players or Chase Young, what happens if you miss on those type of players? Then what's the story?
Right. Yeah, you're right about that. All right, so with the addition of Chase Young, barring any injuries or setbacks, do you feel like the team has gotten at least two games better in the win column?
I don't know. And the reason why I don't know, and it may sound like a cop-out, bro, is because I don't know what their offensive line is going to look like. And I don't know if Clint Kubiak is really the savior that everybody's trying to make him out to be. Do I think the offensive staff could be improved this year under Clint Kubiak? Sure. But I don't know that for sure. Because when he had this opportunity in Minnesota, it's not like they was lighting up the league, offensively. They was mediocre. But, I mean, unless you're telling me mediocre is good enough. If you're telling me, they don't need to be one of these, top offenses or whatever like that. They just need to be middle of the pack in order to win. Then all right, I can accept that. But I mean, too many people have this Clint Kubiak as the savior type of thing going on, man, and I'm not really sure that's the situation.
You're getting pessimistic, B. They're gonna come for you. You're getting pessimistic. You can't talk bad about the team you love.
Man, I'll be ready for that type of talk, man. Come see me.
Did P sign with the Titans?
I don't know if he did or not. I know he had a visit at last I seen. I don't recall him actually putting pen to paper and they're saying him signing. So, I mean, at this point, I think he's still out there. And again, I think that's the whole thing with the Saints offense. Who's going to be on the offensive line and what can Clint Kubiak do with the guys that he has? I think that's going to be the hallmark of the team. I don't have any doubts about the Saints defense being able to hold teams to, let's say, 22 points. 22, 23 points, somewhere under there. I don't have a issue in the world thinking that they can do that. The question that I have is, can the Saints offense score 25? And that's the problem. The answer to that as of right now is no. So for me, I think that's going to change everything. If they can kind of, prove to me that they can kind of, be a decent offensive team, that changes everything. Until proven, I ain't believing it.
You got Jawan Johnson out there. A lot of people are talking about Brock Bowers now. Now that we got Chase Young, a lot of people talking about Brock Bowers. Jawan Johnson, to me, last year, I think a lot of things wasn't going right. I think I think he just didn't like what the offense was doing and utilizing them right. I think the injuries had, held him back in the beginning of the season, early in the season. But it was a lot of stuff about Juwan Johnson. I feel like, man, he could have fought more on that play. He could have gave better effort on that play. Is it a lot for Juwan Johnson to just say, well, you know what, under Clint Kubiak, he gonna be better. We ain't gotta worry about Brock Bowers. Or you just be like, man, if Brock Bowers right there at 14, you take him right there at 14.
I think if Brock Bowers is there, you take him. I think if Brock Bowers isn't there and Brian Thomas Jr. is there, you take him as well. I think the Saints need to be more dynamic on offense. Now, I understand that the need for the meat and potatoes and, getting the offensive linemen and stuff like that. So I'm not opposed to seeing it. I just think if a Brock Bowers is there, then you don't trade the pick. If Brian Thomas Jr. is there, you don't trade the pick. You take one of those, you give Derek Carr as many weapons as possible to see if he can make it happen. Because what I want at the end of the season, I want a strong offensive line. I want a run game that's superior. And I want Derek Carr to have as many weapons as he possibly can. Because what I don't want to hear is a damn excuse in the world for why he didn't make it happen. Him or Dennis Allen. I want them to have everything that's going to make it possible for them to succeed. And if they can't, then we know who the real problem is.
Hmm. Are we not paying attention to special teams as much as we need to be?
Now, I think they're fine on special teams. I think they brought back, Ugo Amadi and stuff like that, man. I think they'll be fine. I think with the new special team rule that Darren Rizzi, is kind of leading the charge for, I think they'll be fine. Rashid Shaheed is still back there. You can always add a Deontay Hardy right now if you want to bring him back so you can have two threats at kick return. Special teams wise, I don't think it's a problem. I think what we need to figure out is Blake Grupe that dude, and is the punter. Is Lou that dude? Because if Lou Headley is that guy, because if they are, then you kind of you did well. I think year two for Lou will be a little bit better. I think Blake Grupe, a little bit of concern there, but I don't think it's gonna be like he's gonna be the reason why they lose 5 games this year. I don't think it's gonna be that bad.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I would have liked to see some competition added, especially since we out there and I think we practicing in California now. So I would like to see some competition added. Chase Young, he's not going to be able to be out there and, with the guys and getting that camaraderie or whatever. But, I don't know. Maybe a change of scenery might be good so they can practice longer so they ain't got to deal with the heat. But we're going to see how this whole offseason go as far as getting the team prepared. Now, Clint Kubiak, he said he wants to stress the team when it comes to practicing. So all that, us leaving early and all that, I don't think gonna happen. And having a play and not getting it right and just calling it a day, I don't think that's gonna happen this time. So it shouldn't be no excuses on the board.
No, I think they will bring in competition as far as with Blake Grupe and Lou Headley. I think they will bring in a punter, but I don't think they're going to take one as a draft pick. If they take a punter or a kicker as a draft pick, whoever is already Blake Grupe or Lou, whichever position they take, they might as well say they're gone. So, because I don't think they're going to waste a draft pick, even if they got 9 fifth-round draft picks. I don't think they're going to waste one. So, I think we'll likely see if they bring one in, it'll be an undrafted free agent or something like that to bring in a little competition. Maybe bring in a vet, somebody on a maybe a training camp contract type thing. I don't think it's going to be anything that's significant, but they're bringing a little competition. As far as Clint Kubiak and his ability to trust the team and when they're practicing that, I think practicing in California is not a bad idea. The problem is that what the hell did you build that facility in the airline for if you're going to practice everywhere else? They tried to practice at the Greenbrier to appease Sean Payton when he had Skylene out there. Now you're practicing in California to appease Dennis Allen and Derek Carr. It's like, why the hell did you build a facility on airline and charge the taxpayers money to hell with all of the fans in New Orleans that want to actually go out there and brave that heat to watch the Saints practice because there's a bunch of them out there? Why would you want to take that from them and say, we're going to go practice in California? I mean, I have a problem with it, but it ain't going to stop now. They're still going to do it.
Hmm. Well, we're going to see. Do you see us, we just re-signed John Abram. Do you see us probably getting one of these high touted safeties in free agency, like a Justin Simmons? Everybody want a Justin Simmons. Everybody want a reunion with Marcus Williams. Can you see any of that possibly happen?
To be honest with you, bro, they're from what I understand, they're very, and I mean extremely high on housing. So as of right now, my answer would be no. Even though I would like to see them sign Justin Simmons, I wouldn't even mind a reunion with Marcus Williams either. I think they're so high on Howden because they talk about him like he is Marcus Williams minus the Minnesota Miracle. So that's like coming out of training camp. That's all you heard was he's like Marcus Williams. He's like Marcus Williams. He's like Marcus Williams. So they made that comparison for a reason. They were trying to sell you that he could be that dude. If Marcus made it pan out, and of course we saw him get his playing time. Now he's still a rookie, so going into year 2 he might be better. Marcus Williams was good. Like you saw it out the gate that Marcus Williams was going to be that dude. I didn't see it in Howden like that, but I know they thought that's what it was. Right now it's sink or swim because you're either going to prove them right or prove them wrong. Because if they don't bring in a safety, it's going to be him and Abram and whoever they draft.
Right. Well, we're going to need a successor to Tyron soon. We're going to need a successor to DeMario Davis soon. We're going to need a successor to Cam soon. We're going to need a successor to a lot of positions soon. And I think that's kind of like a reason why they re-signing some of these veterans. A lot of people are kind of mad and they just want to let them go or whatever because they looking like dinosaurs right now, except DeMario Davis and Ty. But, I think they just want to keep that locker room intact because us losing Jameis and us losing who else we lost in the locker room? We lost Jameis. We lost Mark Ingram. We losing a lot of guys in the locker room that keep the locker room glued together. And I think by re-signing some of these guys, they want to keep that going as long as possible, especially if they don't view them as a cancer or a bad apple or anything.
Well, I think they have some of the replacements are already in the building. Like I think Willie Gay is a DeMario replacement. He can play in the middle. They're gonna put him outside until they can figure it out. If he doesn't take Pete Warner's spot, then he's definitely gonna be like DeMario's replacement moving forward. So I think Willie Gay could be that if he can get his opportunity to do so. As far as some of the other positions, I agree with you completely. I don't think you can just get rid of a Cam Jordan like that. I don't think you can just get rid of a DeMario like that or Tyrann Mathieu. You can't really get rid of these leaders because Tyrann was one of the guys that was at the dinner with Chase Young. Let me put this out here. I said it first.
Yeah. Well, I ain't gonna keep you on here too long. I'm gonna ask you one more question that we could just get to the Pelicans for a little while before I let you go. One more question about the Saints, man. I gotta ask you, since we got Chase Young now, give me a new hot take.
Man, that's a good one, bro. I would say this. I think the Saints are gonna be aggressive in the draft. Hey, I don't even know if this is a hot take. I think they're gonna be aggressive in the draft and pick all the wrong people. Like I think they're gonna be aggressive in the idea of like we know the Saints well enough to know that if there's a player that's tall, rangy, and injured, that's their type. So that's how I feel. I feel like they're gonna be aggressive. And they're gonna get somebody who was on that played out of college that played 7 games last year out of a 12-game schedule and missed the bowl game because he didn't want to get hurt. And it's gonna piss everybody off. When somebody else was right there, like almost like if Brock Bowers is there, Brian Thomas is there, but they go grab a defensive tackle that missed like half the season last year. That's such a Saints thing to do.
One more question about the Saints. I think it was like a rumor that we tried to go after Kenny Pickett. Do you believe in that rumor? And if we tried to go after Kenny Pickett, do you believe we were one of those mystery teams who went after Justin Fields?
I don't think the Saints went after Justin Fields, but I do believe they went after Kenny Pickett. One, because it seems like that quarterback room has a whole lot of mayonnaise in it right now, and I don't really think they want any. I don't really think they want any, black coffee up in there. That's part one. Part two is the idea of if we've seen nothing else this entire offseason, we've seen that the Saints have tried to eliminate any and every threat possible to Derek Carr, whether that be through competition or whether that be through teammates that don't really see eye to eye with Derek Carr. So I think at the end of the season, when Mickey Loomis went to that press conference and said he himself held a meeting that said you're either in or you're out, I think whoever was out, they're now out. I think if you were in, like Tyrann Mathieu, for example, I think that's the reason why Tyrann got that extension. I don't think it's because Tyrann can still, they believe in Tyrann's ability, not that he's a bad player, because I love Badger. So Badger, if you ever watch this man, bro, you my dude. It ain't you. I'm saying I think they gave it to him because he is one of the leaders, and he is one of those guys that he's not a threat to Derek Carr. He's a guy that's going to do his job, be a company man to a degree. He's still going to tell you like he got to tell it to you, but he's not going to make waves. Michael Thomas, on the other hand, he can be a good team. He can be a good team guy, but if he feel a certain type of way, he's going to let it be known. And I don't think they want that in the locker room because the ire of that is directed at Derek Carr. So if you competition, Jameis Williams, Jameis Winston, you're getting up out of here. If you're a threat to Derek Carr in general, Michael Thomas, they're getting you out of here. And I think that's why Kenny Pickett was a good idea. That's why they signed Nathan Peterman, but you wasn't gonna get a Justin Fields. Imagine this: the Saints start off 1-3. Derek Carr playing like Derek Carr has played, and Justin Fields is the backup quarterback. What do you think this fan base gonna do? Versus if the Saints are 1-3 and Nathan Peterman is your backup quarterback.
Yeah.
I think that answers everything.
Yeah. And with Tyron, man, I love Tyron, bro. And I think he would love a ring, but I just think he just like playing for the Saints and being home more than anything, you know, especially that he's a leader. Well, he'd probably be a leader in any locker room. That's just the aura he carries. And I don't think he just pro Dennis Allen. I just think he just pro Saints. And, you know, he just want to do everything he could do for that defense and just go out there and ball out for the city. Like that's what I think when I think about Tyron and when he type on Twitter or whatever, you know.
I completely agree with you. I think he definitely is pro New Orleans. He's definitely pro Saints. But I also think he don't have a problem with Dennis Allen either. I'm not saying he should. I don't think he's pro Dennis Allen. I just don't think he's anti Dennis Allen. And most importantly, I think they don't need everybody. Like everybody in that locker room doesn't hate DA. Let's just be clear about that. Everybody in that locker room don't have a problem with him. So I think the dudes that have problems have openly voiced that. I think it's telling when you got defensive players saying our game plan could have been better. That being said, you know, I think sometimes you need that honesty I think Dennis Allen can go to Honey Badger and say, look, what am I doing wrong? And Honey Badger could tell him, look, bro, I think it's where you're messing up at. And that's why Honey Badger is still around. I don't want to make it seem like he's a safe choice and that's why they kept him, but he's a safe choice.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't care what the media, what the close Saints media tell me. I don't care what veteran players tell me. No matter the status of the media member, no matter the status of the Saints player, the only person who could change my mind on Dennis Allen is Dennis Allen. That's just me. I'm a different type of fan. Like I know a lot of people mute me and block me and get in my mentions and talk about how I'm pessimistic, but this is my feelings. Like I'm just not happy with this regime, and I just can't wait till the new era begin. But you know, I don't take no pleasure in talking negative about the team, and I don't take no pleasure on, you know, raining on other people's parade. But this is just my feelings. But we got Jerry G.
Hold on, man. Let me address that real quick if you don't mind, because it really bothers me. I've seen a couple of fans come at you sideways behind your opinion and your takes, and it bothers the living fuck out of me. Forgive me for doing that on the live, bro, but it bothers me because what the hell makes you think I got to be the same type of fan as you? If I'm not waving a black and gold flag, if I'm not walking around with black and gold goggles, if I'm not shaking black and gold pom-poms, that don't make me a less of a fan than you. Just because you want to be dumbass optimistic don't mean I have to join you. Let me do me, you do you, and if we can't coexist in the same space, then that's okay. If we can, then that's good too. But I don't have to wave my Saints flag. I don't have to walk around and act like everything is okay. If the Saints lose by 30, I'ma drag their ass. If they win by 30, I'ma celebrate, high five, and who that. What's the difference? And if it's somewhere in the middle, I'ma call it like it is. I don't think there's anything wrong with being a true fan or an unbiased fan, or if you want to be a fanatic, which means it don't matter what the team do, black and gold till I die, who that, high five. Like, I'm not, if that's what you want to be, do you. But the minute you go to questioning whether or not I'm a true fan because I don't do it the way you do it, then you know what? Fuck it. I'm a fair weather fan. I'm going to be honest about it.
Yeah, and the funny thing, I always say this. If by chance Derek Carr and Dennis Allen win us a Super Bowl, these part of the fan base think people who are like-minded like me think we just going to be just in a ball, just in sorrow, crying of disappointment at Dennis Allen and Derek Carr proved me wrong.
Exactly. Like I don't think they understand. It takes fans like me. It takes fans like you. It takes fans like a bunch of us who are not satisfied with mediocrity and subpar play to get on people's ass to motivate them sometimes. Because here's the thing, I'm acting this way because I want to see the team be great.
Yeah.
I'm just as responsible for their turnaround as anybody who wants to support them blindly and just be like, I don't care if they win by 30 or lose by 30. I'm still a fan. Who that? If that's you, that's you. If they lose by 30, you expect me to ignore that shit? Not me. I'm gonna get on there and say your dumb ass is lost by 30 because you didn't run the ball, you couldn't stop the run, you let Derek Carr get in the red zone and act like he only see the right side of the field and threw the shit to a Falcon player talking about, oops, I didn't see him. That was just a good play by his part. I had to just give his props. Boy, fuck you. What the hell you mean you had to give him his props? On top of that, it just so happened to be Atlanta you did it to. Come on, man.
Got Jerry G in the chat, big supporter of this podcast. He be in everybody podcast, to be honest. He said he believed that Chase Young will be ready by September. Shoot, I hope, Jerry. I hope, because I want him to play all 17 games just so I could just see what's gonna happen. Like, I want everybody to be out there at their full
Oh
potential.
shit.
Nobody can get no easy excuse out like that, Dennis Allen. So as long as they got everything at their disposal, I'm good with it. But let me go ahead on and get to these Pelicans, man. Like the Pelicans, I don't know what the media got against them, but for every time they compliment them, it's still like a side eye compliment. They still got to talk about Zion Wade. They still got to talk about what happened in the past and the history and all that with the playoff appearances and missed playoff appearances. But since Stephen A made that comment, I think we was like 0-4 coming out when he was talking about us when they had that little Twitter beef or whatnot. But since then, shoot, they say Zion had lost like 25 pounds over these last few weeks or so, and we just been on the road. Like, what's your take on the Pelicans, and what's your take on they got Saints Twitter, but they also got Pelicans Twitter too, and them motherfuckers are crazy over there and toxic, just like Saints Twitter. I seen one person say, "Man, I ain't about to be a fan of the team because they messing up Bi. They getting him up out the game plan."
Man, look, whatever it takes for the Pelicans to win. If it means Brandon leading the team, I'm for it. If it means Zion leading the team, I'm for it. If it means CJ leading the team, I'm for it. I don't give a damn as long as they win because the New Orleans is starving for this. The Pelicans have been, basically the stepchild of the Saints for as long as possible. To imagine them making it, let's say, to the Western Conference Finals, that could change basketball in New Orleans forever. If they make it to the NBA Finals, oh my God, I'm gonna be insufferable. Somebody gonna have to block me because I'm gonna talk cash money and shit. Because this is not what the team needs. It's what the city needs. Because we love a damn good party, and ain't nothing like packing that blender and watching the Pelicans go off and let Zion catch one of the alley-oops like he caught last night against Brooklyn. You do that in New Orleans, you blowing a roof off the place, bro. So I want to see it happen. And as far as the media and look, we know what this is. This is agenda driven. The media only care about 8 teams in the NBA. The rest of them could not play. They don't want Giannis in Milwaukee. Golden State has made them appreciate it, but Golden State moved from Oakland to San Francisco. So if it's not Miami, if it's not New York, if it's not Boston, if it's not LA, they don't give a damn. And that's really what it comes down to. They don't give a shit about Portland. They don't care about Milwaukee. They don't care about Charlotte. They don't care about Memphis. They only care about the 8 teams that that won most of the championships. And to be honest, San Antonio is the outlier because they really don't like them either. But they love Greg Popovich. So I'm not surprised when a Stephen A, loudmouth ass Stephen A come out and says Zion's still fat, even though you could look at him and say he's not. I'm not surprised when Colin Cowherd says something stupid like, there's no such thing as abs in New Orleans. Like, I'm not surprised when they say that because they don't want good players in New Orleans. Colin Cowherd was one of the first people trying to get Anthony Davis out of New Orleans because they don't want stars in New Orleans. They want stars in LA because stars in LA drive their ratings. How do I know? Because how the hell does Skip Bayless talk about the Lakers and the Cowboys every damn day and still have a show? Because that's all he care about, and that's all he have to talk about because that's going to drive his show, and that's why it doesn't matter what they say. They don't want stars in our city, and I don't give a damn about it. I want to see Zion go out there and wreck shit in New Orleans uniform. I want to see Giannis put up numbers in Milwaukee. That's what I want to see because I think when everybody has a chance, it makes the league better. That's why the NFL is king right now. You never know what team gonna win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. Kansas City looked horrible last year, and then all of a sudden they caught fire.
Yeah, man.
I love that.
We just beat the Nets. I think the game before that, we beat the Clippers. A lot of people were saying the Pelicans might have turned a corner because that Clippers game that we won, the way we won, it would usually be a loss. Has the Pelicans finally believed in themselves, and has Willie Green turned the corner?
I'm not going to say Willie Green per se, because I still think there's a lot of growing for Willie to do. I think the young Pelicans are starting to believe in themselves, and that's a scary thing because they've always had the talent. They've always had the talent. What they haven't been is healthy, and now they finally are. And what they haven't been is confident, which they look like they're starting to be. When Brandon Ingram and the Pelicans played in the playoffs, they were almost too young and too ignorant to know they weren't supposed to be there. They went in the play-in, they got in. Now they can see their true potential. They know if they lock in on defense, and for everybody mad at BI not being in the offensive game plan, his defense has improved tremendously. And Brandon as a playmaker is a hell of a lot better than Brandon as a number one option. So I'm not mad that BI have to take a backseat to Zion a little bit, because when the playoffs come, they're going to need Brandon just as much as they need Zion, CJ much as they need both of them. So for me, I don't care who get the credit. Plato, if this is working, stick to it until somebody can break it. And when somebody break it, then you let BI beat their ass. If somebody break that, tell CJ take over.
Is BI not a part of the game plan like we making it seem to be, or he just in a little funk right now?
No, I think he's very much involved in the game plan. I think the winning formula is BI take over. It's almost like when Shaq and Kobe played. If Shaq had to dominate for 3 quarters out of the game, and then Kobe took over in the fourth quarter, and that's what made them win, that's what they had to do at any given time. Kobe could have dropped 40 on you. But if it made sense for him to score 26 and for Shaq to get 38, then and that's what's winning, do that. And that's what they got right now. Zion is dominating in the paint. Can't a damn person stop him. Use that until they crack that code. When they crack that code, let BI break their ass in half with that mid-range game. I don't think Brandon is playing badly. A little bit of a shooting slump, maybe, but I don't think he's playing badly. I think he's playing to his strengths, in which is saying, if this isn't here, let me get somebody else involved. Believe me, when the playoffs come and they start putting pack in the paint to stop Zion, Brandon I'm telling you, Brandon gonna show up, and he gonna show up and show out.
One more question.
I have no concerns about BI.
One more question before I let you go, my brother. Okay, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is more likely to happen? And what would you rather if you had to choose one? Pelicans winning 2 ships, or Saints getting 1 more before it's all said and done?
The Pelicans winning 2.
That's what you think?
That would be my, no, that I mean, I guess it's the answer to both. I think the Pelicans are closer to winning 2 championships than the Saints are to winning 1. And I also want to see the Pelicans win 2 before I would ever see the Saints win. I'm blessed enough to be able to say, for as much as I've suffered as a Saints fan, I've also seen them win a championship. Again, I think what the Pelicans winning the championship could do for New Orleans in general could be, it could have a huge impact. It could change the way New Orleans is seen, as a sports city globally, if the Pelicans can win a championship.
You kind of know about sports and logistics more than the next person. Like, just give me a few things that it can change if the Pelicans were to win a big championship for New Orleans.
Well, first of all, it's going to change the way basketball. It's going to, let me start off. It's going to change the way that the city is seen worldwide. New Orleans can be seen as a sports town where you got the Saints, and even if the Saints are mediocre, you think, well, they got a championship. So their football team is there. They're established. Now they got a basketball team. The basketball team won a championship. So now we're a title city, if you want to call it that. We're a legitimate sports city. That means to talk about the Saints leaving, gone. To talk about the Pelicans being gone. That shit is gone the minute the Pelicans win a championship. Because why would you want to sell that team that just won? And the Saints ain't going nowhere as long as they got blood and breath. Saints well. So that's the first part of the impact. It changes the global look of how New Orleans is seen from a sports perspective. Secondly, what it does is it makes New Orleans a legitimate basketball city. That means the dudes you see outside dribbling their basketballs increases, because now you have a team that you can believe in. The merchandise sales, the notoriety, all of that changes. Not to mention that, but if you look at it from a marquee perspective as far as the events, the Pelicans games now become events. So now if the Lakers play the Pelicans, now you're traveling to see the Lakers play the Pelicans, because it's no longer a gimme game. Now it's more of a playoff atmosphere when the Lakers play the Pelicans. That's why you want to build up the Pelicans to make them a good team, because now that same ticket right now, if the Lakers play the Milwaukee Bucks, might be $50 for the good seats in the lower bowl. The Pelicans play the Bucks and the Pelicans are a winning franchise, that ticket now is $200, meaning it's a marquee game, which means you have a marquee team, not just from a Milwaukee perspective, from a Pelicans perspective, and that's just great. That's great for the Pelicans franchise in general. And if you want to talk about from a financial and from a team perspective, if the Pelicans are a winning team, and the Pelicans are Gail's baby, the Saints wasn't her thing. That was that was Uncle T-Ben's thing. The Pelicans are Gail baby. If the Pelicans start winning, Gail gonna open up that Chanel bag a little bit more and spend on the luxury tax. If you spend on the luxury tax, you get better players. You get better players, you compete for more championships. That is what's going to happen. And not to mention that, but no longer do players want to tax the Pelicans to come play here. Now you may get Tyrese Halliburton. You might get a Halliburton to come play for the Pelicans when he might look at the Pelicans, right now and be like, I wouldn't want to play for them dudes. But if the Pelicans start winning, now good players want to come play for your team. It just helps all around. It's still a lot more to go, but that's the major factors.
Well, yeah, man. Now that you put it like that, I probably would want to see the Pels win 2 before I see the Saints win 1 more, just because the Saints already got that. And then if the Pels win 2, that's 2. Like we thinking about goddamn what you call it when you win multiple championships. We think about a
dynasty. The dynasty.
We thinking about a dynasty.
I'm walking in the Pels game, throwing up the dynasty sign every time if them boys win 2 championships. I'm gonna be insufferable.
I'm gonna be looking like Drake did when the Raptors won. You win here, you win here, you win.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, boy, I'm gonna be courtside like Spike Lee.
Mm-hmm. Boosie and Wayne gonna be trying to be right courtside again, motherfucker.
I'm trying to tell you, I see Boosie Raccoon looking ass on the courtside. See them kicking him clean off the courtside. I promise. He gonna have to do me something dirty, because I ain't gonna let him slide with it. You're an Atlanta Falcons, you're an Atlanta Hawks fan, go be an Atlanta Hawks fan. I won't catch a raccoon looking ass in New Orleans.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Spitter, man. That man be at damn near every game, bro.
That's who deserves courtside seats.
Yeah.
Spitter.
Yeah. And Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan, he be at a handful of games too. Like Cam Jordan, he be in the community and all that too, bro. I like
Cam been that way. Cam been supporting Cam been supporting the team since he got here.
Why do you think Derek Carr just don't move around and be in a city like that? You think he's worried about people, just talking about him and his family while he out and about, or like if as long as he gonna just be able to just storm it out, and then after a while people just gonna forget and be like, well, you know what? At least he's embracing us.
I think that's a part of the problem. I think from day one, Derek Carr's never really embraced New Orleans. New Orleans is a check to him, and if it's not that to him, that's the way he's made it seem. Like, this is a check. I only work there. I don't live there. I don't play there. I don't want to be a part of the community. I don't want to do anything. And it's showing, because now you see more and more people asking, well, what has Derek Carr done for the community? And the answer to this day is still nothing. So I think if he was more visible, it would mean a lot to the city that, okay, maybe you do want to be here. As of right now, I don't think it's one of those things to where he doesn't want to take his family out because he's going to get ridiculed. First of all, if you've ever been to a Pelicans game, they don't play that shit. If Derek Carr is sitting courtside and somebody's trying to get at him, they get kicked the hell out. That's first and foremost. Secondly, it's the idea of you got to be shown in order for that to happen. Derek Carr ain't even show up. So how does he know what's going to happen if he show up? I mean, you're not even giving the people a chance.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to see next year, bro, because like they say, winning cures all. So we're going to see, but I'm going to go ahead on and let you go, B, man. Thanks for stopping by on the show, man, joining the live stream. Wasn't too many people in this live stream right now. I think a lot of other big podcasts probably on right now and everybody tuned in. But whenever this one drop, it's going to drop. I'll post some clips on Twitter or whatever. But, man, appreciate coming through and dropping some gems, bro.
That's what's up, fam. Anytime you need me, I'm here, fam.
All right, man. I'm definitely going to need you back once we start to get close off to the draft. But until then, be safe on that road, fam.
Appreciate you, my G. I'm up in Idaho right now, man, looking for black folks. So I'm gonna see if I can find anybody before I get back to the West Coast.
Bring me some potatoes back, man.
I got you, my G. It's crawfish season, bro. So I got you.
All right, man. Be safe out there.
All right, family.